Hello and welcome to the Pete podcast, the only podcast that puts the incredible London Borough of Sutton in the spotlight. I'll be speaking with some of the most influential members of our local community, aiming to inspire listeners to dream big and to feel connected to what's going on here at home. In this first episode, I spent some time chatting with Ric Adams about life in Wallington and about how the local community seems to have found itself more involved on social media. Ric has spent the best part of the last 30 years serving the community in a variety of roles, but it was his love for local history that led him to set up a Facebook page dedicated to Wallington. We wasted no time and dived straight into a conversation about this and more, so do stay tuned and enjoy the first ever episode of the Pete podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet me. This is, actually, this is going to be the first episode of the Pete podcast.
Okay.
So no pressure. I didn't tell you that at the beginning, but just to continue what you were saying there. So because I've seen a lot of your the pictures that you post.
Yeah.
Particularly some of the older, like Wallington history stuff.
Yes.
Older photos from years ago.
That's kind of where that Facebook group began, because I hadn't been particularly interested in history at school.
Okay.
But I gradually became interested. I can't remember what the first thing I saw was. I know that what it probably was up by by Melrose Park, which is not too far from where I live.
Yeah.
There's this brick of thing in one corner. That's right. And I was just curious what that was. And it turns out that's like an old air raid shelter.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, this is brilliant. And then I spotted another one up by Wallington Girls' School.
Yeah. Okay.
And suddenly you've got a little bit of history, which is still about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought, oh, that's great. And then an interest in local history started to grow.
Okay.
And really, so if you Google anything, if you Google Wallington, you get up this thing, and it's Frith postcards, and whoever Frith was, I don't know, but if Frith was one person, Frith must have been very active in taking photographs of local areas.
I've seen those.
And now you can find lots of these pictures, including of Wallington,
right,
which are accessible on the internet. But I suppose I wanted maybe some way of capturing Wallington as it was today, as well as that history stuff as well.
Well, I suppose in years to come, what you capture now will be.
Well, maybe I shall be the new Frith. But so that's all it was really, and I sort of realised that there are some places that have come and gone, even in Wallington. And I've lived in the area for most of my life.
Okay.
For example, the old courts that were in Wallington, now they've been demolished, but in their places is I think it's like a retirement home called Ellis House.
Whereabouts is that?
That's down Shopfield, so just the other side of the road from the library.
Oh, so opposite the library, opposite the back of the library.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the old courthouse.
It was. The old courthouse was there, but that's now gone.
Right.
And I remember one day they must have had an open day at the courthouse. I was aware of it there. You drove up Shopfield, you'd see people nervously waiting outside to go in. And one day they had an open day, and they invited the public to go and have a look around. And I went on that open day, and I must have looked round to the all around it without any camera, not taking any pictures whatsoever.
Okay.
And then you move on many years after that, and suddenly it's being demolished, and you've got no way of getting inside.
Right, sure.
And if you go and Google Wallington Courthouse, whatever it was called, you won't find a single picture of what it was like on the inside. You won't find one picture of it at all.
Okay.
And I just thought that's something which had stood there for years. Some people might say, well, who cares? No big deal. So what? There's no pictures of the inside. Just personally, I thought it just would have been nice to have had something like that. So it was that sort of growing love of history, which I didn't have when I was a child, and it's sort of a desire to record the changing face of Wallington as it is now. Shops come and go, and Francis Frith photographs, or these pictures that you see on the old postcards. Somebody stood in a road at a certain point in time and took a picture.
Okay, so let me ask you this: in the time that you've been in Wallington, because you mentioned earlier something about seeing the changes that have happened. Sort of, are you talking about sort of cosmetic changes, or are you talking about sort of changes within the dynamic of the community? Or
I think the high street is. I see Wallington is almost like two roads. You've got your Woodcote. Well, I know there's lots of little roads, but the two main roads are Woodcote Road and Stafford Road. And Stafford Road seems to be the road that's got most of the independent-y type shops along it, and Woodcote Road seems to be it's the chain. So it's Iceland and it's Smiths and it's soon to be a Costa and a Cafe Nero and this, that, and the other. And so Woodcote Road, it used to be very different. It used to be more have an independent feel to it. Okay. So I know that Claddish is one shop which is still there, but there were other places. There was like a camera shop. There was a shop called Buttons, which somebody was asking about on the group the other day. I remember going into Buttons, which you get toys there and sweets. Toys and sweets and and like a newsagent. So it had more of an independent feel. Obviously there was the post office was down there, wasn't there? And that's now closed.
That's on the corner opposite the moon. The Whispering Moon.
But if you dial back even further, that used to be, I think it was called Tilly and Aldis or something. It used to be like a department store where the post office is.
Right. Okay.
And I mean,
like
before
an
my
actual
time,
department store, like
an actual department store.
Debenhams,
on the corner there.
Wow. Okay.
And where the Whispering Moon is, that used to be again before my time. But that used to be an Odeon cinema, and I thought that, our town used to have a cinema in it. So there have been changes in that respect, but. Change is a good thing. Change is a good thing. The way that the group has evolved and changed, that's been a good thing. To have had it just stuck as old pictures and new pictures of Wallington would have made it a very boring group, I think, compared to what it's become now. And I think that you need to have people that have got new and fresh ideas and bring them on. So things like the music festival and the Christmas festival. Now we have like a craft festival inside the Sutton College, and that's been a new thing.
Right. Okay.
So there have been changes, some good and maybe some not so good. That Wallington Square as well. Wallington Square's the change. I remember we used to call it the Precinct. I think I had my first alcoholic drink in the Cavalier that used to be halfway along.
Was that what a pub? There was a pub.
It was a pub. Yeah, there was a pub. Yeah.
Well, where the Superdrug is, or
yes. So
or Peacocks, whatever it is.
It just looked so different.
Wow.
My first Saturday job was it was called Shaw Foods, which was a freezer shop.
Okay.
Which was on the corner just underneath where Sainsbury's is now. So that far end of the square, there used to be a frozen food shop.
Okay.
And I remember it's my job to clean the windows every Saturday on that corner and weigh out bags of chopped nuts and make sure that there was enough ice cream in the freezer. So and then after that I got a job working in Smiths.
Right. Okay.
So that was and I that was in the days when Smiths had a record department.
Oh,
there.
Really?
So
okay.
I spent my Saturdays, vinyl records, putting them on the record player.
Oh, nice.
There didn't seem to be any rules about you must only play things from the top 10, but,
right, okay.
So you could put on your favourite tracks. Probably drove down trade like I don't know what, but there's a YouTube clip that every now and again it resurfaces and people come across it and they'll post it, and it was Wallington in 1987.
I have seen this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was me that filmed that.
Oh, was it?
It was, yeah.
No
so,
way.
So the lady
Wow.
that's being followed down the high street that's my wife,
Right.
pushing my son,
Oh,
my
wow.
first son.
I'm gonna have to go
and
watch
the
that
only
again.
reason that I filmed that, and I think I borrowed somebody's video camera, is because I'd been over to stay with a family in Canada.
Okay.
Something to do with work, and then I just wanted them to see what my hometown was like. So I just filmed this thing and somehow managed to get it across to them. This was probably before YouTube, back, so I would say 1987.
Right. Okay.
And then I just came across it. I think I vaguely remembered that I had it, and I felt, searched through these tapes that I had,
Yeah.
and I found this little clip which I put on there, and it's, I'm slightly embarrassed hearing my voice on there, and what I say. I say something like I think I say that's an old person's car or something. I can't remember anyway. But I filmed the end of the road there where I used to live. I filmed the end of Onslow Gardens, and I obviously walk past the church, which is now where Sainsbury's is.
Yeah.
But I barely pay that church any attention, and I think, why didn't I film that? Well, I didn't realise then that church was going to be knocked down. I did also take it. I mean, when the church had already gone, I'd taken pictures of them building the Sainsbury's. So I've got some still photographs of the building work where the Sainsbury's is. But I didn't take any pictures of that old church. And so it was still standing in 1987. People had video cameras. See, this is what I mean about recording stuff. I can't remember what the original question was. But there have been a lot of changes that I've seen over the years.
And it does seem strange, you mentioned as well earlier, we've got the new Costa coffee coming, and I'm, just off the top of my head, I'm thinking, gosh, that's at least half a dozen coffee shops, within a cat swinging distance of each other, and it's.
But we've got some great independents, haven't we? So we've got, and I'm in danger of missing some out. But Burns, the Pioneer shop on Raspberry.
Right. Okay.
The Ginger Frog across the road, Cox Pippin. There are some independent shops that carpenters, the solicitors down the road. Really community-minded people. They give to us every year.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh great. Okay.
For sure. So if you go to the the change store, so there was a new B&Q that's opened along.
Oh yes. Yeah.
So I went to them asking whether they could. Well, actually, I didn't go to them. I wrote to B&Q's head office asking if they could maybe make a donation. We've got no money. We're constantly relying on people's goodwill and donations from elsewhere. Wondering whether, as they were new in town, good publicity for them, whether they would like to make a contribution for the Christmas festival. But for whatever reason, they said that they couldn't do. They gave nationally to bigger charities. So it was a no from them. Whereas the independents are very generous. But
yeah, thanks for meeting me. This is the Pete podcast. If you want to get in touch, it's petepetepodcast@gmail.com. Get in touch on Facebook. I'll be posting links and pics and stuff from the conversation that I've had with Ric just now. But Ric, all the best for the week, months and year ahead.
Thank you.
And wish you all the best. And,
and likewise with your podcast. It sounds like an exciting thing. So
thank you.
Fantastic.
And I'm sure we'll be seeing each other out and about in the community. Nice one.
Thank you.